And I was like 1% a day, and I kind of like did the compounding effect. Like if I made 1% a day every day, I'd be, I'd have $156 million in like 3 years, which I don't yet. But the math still works out that way. I was like, that is incredible. So more or less, I just learned. I day traded without knowing anything. That's usually how people do it, right? When they start trading, they go, "Oh, that's perfect. This is really fun." Yes, and they just get in, they buy something, they have no idea why they're buying it, they have no idea when they're getting in. That's exactly how I started. I just got in, and I'd get out the same day hoping for a profit. So I started getting other mentors all the way from Israel to Hawaii to Bangladesh to Thailand to Australia, like Mandy. I just started reaching out to people on the internet saying, hey, and like you did, I just started asking questions. I wasn't afraid to be dumb. It's the best way to get mentors, man, is just ask questions and invest in yourself. So this goes back, about 7 years. And what happened was I lost a lot of money, and because I didn't know what I was doing. I was trading options. I actually was trading my dad's retirement account, and I was trading a strategy that I know very well, buying stock and doing covered calls. I learned that strategy immediately. I always understood it. To this day, it's my favorite strategy because it's simple, it's easy. I can explain it to anybody. And then I was making good money. I made like 36% return in 3 months, made about 36 grand off of 100,000. I was like, okay, not too bad. 5 months later, I lost it all. Every dime, 100 grand, gone down the tubes. And trading options, and I had no idea how to use them or implement them or manage risk. I was only focusing on the profits. So I lost my dad's entire retirement account. And when I was 20, so 9 years ago. And what I ended up doing was simply saying, well, this is terrible. Let me figure out how I can change this. Like, what can I do to avoid this from ever happening again? And how can I learn from this mistake? And that's more or less what he told me, because he said, hey, I didn't have to pay for you to go to college, so I'll just assume this is your college tuition. I hope you get it back one day. So the studying that I did is I did something called back trading. So I went back and back traded the Dow Jones from the day it started. Like from day one, candle by candle, I traded the entire Dow Jones. And I got to trade the stock market crash in the 20s. I got to trade World War I. I traded World War II. Looking at the candles and seeing how they moved, it was just incredible. So I spent 7 months, and it just kind of happened. It morphed into this obsession to get better. I didn't have any friends. I didn't watch sports. I canceled all of my TV. All I did was I worked, I drank water, and I ate food. I came home and I back traded for 7 hours a day, every day. Your birthday, my birthday, Jesus' birthday, every single day, Monday through Monday, 7 hours a day for 7 months, and I got really good.
And a friend of mine had introduced me to the Forex market. He said, hey, there's this thing called currency trading where you can trade currencies, and it's kind of like the stock market, but it's highly leveraged, so we can start with a little bit of money and make some money. And at first I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I never heard this. And I did some research on it. And of course I fell into the trap of, you hear all the stories about, you can grow your account to $1 million in a year. And I hooked on to that. I said, are you going to tell me I can take a $10,000 account or a $5,000 account, trade currencies, and in a year or two or 5 years or so be a millionaire? I'm in. So I entered it for the same reasons a lot of traders enter it, that get rich quick scheme. I did have a passion for it, but in full honesty, I thought I was going to make a lot of money really quick and, buy boats and houses and, do all the stuff you see on Wolf of Wall Street and all those other movies. But it didn't end up that way. I ended up struggling for quite a bit for a few years, just trying to do it on my own. And it got to a point where really I realized I needed help. I wasn't going to do this. I'm a very stubborn person, so I always think I can do it myself. And I kind of had a reality check that said, hey, this isn't working, get help. And one of the biggest turning points in my career was I was working 3 jobs at the time. I was teaching, I was teaching in elementary school or working with children that had mental and behavioral disabilities. I was coaching track, and I was also a janitor. So I was cleaning toilets and cleaning banks at night, which wasn't the best situation, but it paid the bills, and going to grad school at the same time. And I remember it got to the point where I was still looking at trading as a hobby. I wasn't giving it my all. And I made the decision. I said, hey, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit these jobs and focus fully on trading, just because the type of person I am, if I don't have my back, when my back's to the wall, I'm going to do something about it. So I had to put myself in that position. And fortunately, after I quit the jobs, I was going to the internet, surfing the net for, everything trader related. I came across Forex Trader magazine, and I read an interview about this guy named Jason Stapleton. Went to his site. He had this thing called a trader assessment. I filled it out just for whatever reason. I was bored. I was unemployed, so I had all the time in the world. Filled it out, and surprisingly, later that night, he gave me a call. And what that call did was it identified what my problems were in my trading. So, he would say, hey, how are you trading? I said, well, I usually trade breakouts, triangles, wedges, stuff like that. He said, well, what makes it count as a breakout? And all of my responses to all the questions he asked was, well, sometimes, maybe, usually, kinda. There was no concrete answer. And we had a conversation, and it made me realize that I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I did, but I really, there was no discipline, no consistency in what I was doing. This is going to be the turning point. And I kind of immersed myself in that trading and said, hey, I'm going all in. It's do or die time, and let that competitive beast come out of me. I'm either going to win or lose this game. And, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a competitor. I don't like to lose. So I did everything I needed to do to become successful. Even after taking the course, I had a few connections from the days of doing stock investments. So I knew a few people that had some good income levels. And I actually started managing money right when I came out of his course, or a few months afterwards. And I was going to go full time doing that. I was going to manage money, take commissions, all of that fun stuff. And it was looking pretty bright. Again, I had a client that started off. He gave me $250,000 to begin with, and said, hey, you do what you need to do with this, and if it goes right, I've got 4 or 5 partners of mine that are willing to give you the same thing and more. So I'm counting in my head again. I'm saying, okay, 5 years, I'll be a millionaire. These guys are giving me, I'll be managing this many $1 million and making this much commission. And unfortunately, it didn't go as planned. Money management didn't go the way I wanted it to. I was actually pretty successful at first, but what happened was the client just wasn't satisfied. I was making a smooth 2 to 3% return per month, which was my goal. But this particular client wanted more. He said, hey, you're doing good, but I think we should increase the position size. I'm like, well, if you increase the position size, we increase the risk, and the goal was a slow, steady return. And at the end of the day, he just didn't want to hear that. And on my fault, I was a little spineless. I was afraid to tell the client that I wasn't going to do this. Back then, I felt that the client is always right. So if it's his money, if he wanted to do this, then my job is to do it. And what happened is we basically tripled the position size essentially right when the drawdown hit. And one of the stories I always told my traders is I lost almost $30,000, within a few weeks. And it was pretty tough. And what's worse than that, after I lost it, I had a psychological collapse. I turned the computers off. I was going to throw things and break things. I was just done with trading for about a week. But after a week, I remember what my mentor told me. I said, hey, stick to the plan. The plan doesn't lie. You got to trade through these drawdowns. The competitor in me says, hey, you're not a quitter. Let's go for it. So a week later, I turned on my computer. And to my surprise, I saw that if I would have just followed my plan and traded through, if I wouldn't have taken that week off, not only would I have earned back the $30,000 that I lost, but I would have earned back another $30,000 on top of that. And that was crushing.
At the time, I was operational in a business, and I was very functional in that business. And I didn't have time to sit at the charts all day. So the only way that I was going to nail it is by getting outside the comfort zone, by starting another work day once my family had gone to sleep. So what I'd do is I'd get home as early as I could, see them until they went to bed about 9:30, 10 p.m., I would start working on my trading, my back testing. And I'd be back testing till 2 in the morning. I would set aside weekends. And what kept me through that is, I suppose, just the urge to get to the goal for my family, because by that time I'd lost a lot of money, and I didn't lose money that I couldn't afford to lose, because I've always been a business mind. I've got a business brain, and I wasn't stupid enough to blow money that I couldn't afford to lose, but I did feel that I owed it to my family, and the vision of what my life would look like once I nailed it was so sort of compelling. I just went all in, and that did involve a lot of hours. I initially did I think it was about 625 hours of back testing before I placed a single live trade. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I mean, but before that, I was placing trades on just, I was gambling. But it's amazing once you go through that transition and then you go about it in the right way. It's amazing how you no longer care if a trade wins or loses, and it's a completely different mindset. And you realize that when you look back, it isn't actually trading is very simple. The concept's very simple. It's not a difficult concept. The thing that makes it hard is the mindset, and you only get that mindset through going all out and putting those hours and those reps into the charts. I don't think you can have enough hours in the charts when you're first learning.
Fast forward a couple of years, I had accumulated a rather significant amount of money from various jobs I took throughout the years, and I was finally ready to trade. But I can remember at that time, making money in trading surely seemed easy, just like low-hanging fruit waiting to be plucked. But that's what I thought. It wasn't the case. And for a very long time, I struggled with bringing in consistent results from my trading operations. My whole trading experience for a very long time has been met with failures, mistakes, painful losses. But the culminating point for me was in 2011, September 2011, when I blew my account after losing money consistently for 5 consecutive years. And I just remember at that time I was really, really broken. I was on the brink of doing something pretty horrible to myself. I intimately believe now that, which I didn't before, by the way, that some of our most painful experiences happen for a reason. They're here to teach us something about ourselves, notably how inflexible we are to changes. And, you see, we evolve in a society that has a phobia of mistakes and failures and, of being wrong. Early in life, we're taught that being wrong isn't an option, that making mistakes, experiencing failures is something we should all be ashamed of. And as we grow up, these beliefs that are imposed upon us, they become part of our belief system, they become part of our identity as well. We're fed with facts and we're tested on those facts. And the people who make the least amount of mistakes are considered to be the smartest ones. So we learned early on in life that, making mistakes or being wrong or experiencing failures are things that, are deeply embarrassing, that we should all be ashamed of. School doesn't prepare us for real life unless, of course, our lives are spent pleasing others or doing what others want. It surely doesn't prepare us for a self-directed life of entrepreneur or innovator or even trader. I'm very grateful for the experience I've been through, the painful experiences I've been through, especially when I came to realize my role in it. Now, I would not change a moment of it, though I never wish to repeat them.
If you have a roof over your head or a car to drive or a cell phone or you go to Starbucks, be happy because you are in the top % of the world as far as wealth is concerned. A lot of people don't have the things that you have. I had a job driving across the country, delivering products. I lived in a van, and we would load pallets in the van. I would take it to one place to another. And at truck stops, I was looking for ways to make extra money. I didn't have any money. I wanted to make extra money, and I came upon trading. And that's how it all started. So I just started trading from truck stops or sitting in the back of the van, studying, every waking hour that I could. There was nights that I was just so irritated, and I wanted to quit. I don't know how many times I blew out 9 accounts because I'm hard-headed and stubborn. Everything that I tried, it would go in the reverse direction that I tried to do it. I tried to fade the markets and everything like that. And it was only after I found out about doing the opposite of what everybody else taught that I became profitable. I took some time off for a while and just studied hard and just got right back into it. And it went kind of like this. I blew out my first account in like a day or two. And then I got stupid ideas and read all the forums, which you shouldn't do because there's a bunch of crap on there. And then I got another bright idea, but I didn't, I blew out my account like in a week. And then the next account took like, a month or two. And losing money in the accounts, it took longer and longer to do. And then finally, instead of losing money, I started making money, and that took 9 accounts to do. But it was very frustrating. But I knew there was something there, and I knew there was something that I was missing, and I was trying to find that missing piece, and just kept learning and putting it all together. But it took a while.